And then we had the Goshen Police Department give us a list of the deaths. This shows you right here. These are the lists of people who died, who lived in Goshen, Dunlap, and Jefferson. And I have 20 of those, and then I have 11 in Shipshewana, and then I have, oh my gosh, look at this, Middlebury. Okay, those are all deaths. So the purpose there was people would call or contact us through amateur radio and say, is Mrs. Vance Jackson okay? Answer is no, she died as well as her 2 children in the Midway Trailer Court. So we had the list from the police department, so in the event someone contacted us. Then Goshen Hospital provided us a list, and the list here is 102 victims, people who hadn't died, but who were injured. So people would call and say, have you got any information, say, on Alpha Miller? And the answer is yes, and he's at the Goshen Hospital, and he was injured. That's all we knew. So there's lots of those kinds of messages. Okay, so you can see, here's a list that I was provided of people who died in Elkhart County. And they died between 6:15 and 7:15 p.m. So this first page there's 18 of them, and then we go through 20. Then I have another list of 11 that were from Shipshewana that died. And then the next, and then, this is, oh man, this is really, and then there's another list that's missing, but here's another 40, I get up the death list of 40 people with their ages that are on there. This came from, I believe it was from Goshen Hospital that provided us, they provided us every storm victim that they had admitted into the hospital. So we had the master list, so when people would say, how is Mrs. Laverne Fry? And the answer is she's alive, but she's at Goshen Hospital. And as you can see, I've got 102 storm victims that are in 3 hospitals, Jefferson, Dunlap, and Goshen, and Middlebury. So there's a lot of people that were really hurt. Prepared me for it, really. It was very difficult to come to this country and have the kids in the schoolyard make fun of you because you couldn't speak English, and when you finally began to speak English, you spoke with such a brogue or accent that they still made fun of you. That kind of really toughens you up pretty fast. And so I think I was well prepared for this. And then you, like I'm sure that many of the doctors and the police and all the emergency workers, you have to kind of go into this detached mode because you're there to try to help people. You can't be there to, deal with how you're feeling about stuff. You just move on. So. Here's a message sent to Charles White in Syracuse. Message: Mrs. Raymond Watts' house is demolished at Dunlap. His father and her father tried to get in touch with him, but still we can't get a hold of you. Mendel White's father, if in Goshen, contact your father. Came from Mrs. James White. And you have lots of those kinds of messages, And here's one that went to W.G. Betzner in Lakewood, Ohio. Message: the business is okay. So are all the employees. Jim. Or here's one that went to Daystrom, Pennsylvania, to Mr. and Mrs. Abram Moyer. Sam and Jean are okay. Will be delayed 24 hours. So you had all sorts of messages like that. So each of these are all the same, which basically says everything is okay. Okay? And for people, let's say you're in, here's one that's in Eugene, Oregon, Remember, there's no contact. So you get a message that says, hey, Alice is safe and isn't hurt. That's kind of, so it was just as important, on the ones, and there, like I said, there's just so many here. To Lloyd Spitzmanger in Coldwater, Michigan, Donald Zader's funeral is 4 p.m. this Wednesday at Yoder Culp. From Carl Casey. So most of these you see has that ARRL1 on it, meaning we're here, we're okay, we were in there, no problem. I forgot about this. This is to Ethel Ewan in Visalia, California, and everything's fine, but they're fine, and it's signed by Park and Mary. That was Park Lance. Park Lance was my principal at Parkside School in Goshen. Okay, so here's the message. This is to Clarence Wilson, 1st Division, the USS Northampton, New York, New York. Shall I tell the Red Cross? And we let them know, yes, we already did that. To Mrs. Shelby in Warsaw, Indiana, please get Mr. Baker to run the mail route. You think about that, that there's another thing you have to worry about. The mailman got hurt. Who's going to do the mail route? This is from Robert Browning to Mrs. Paul Borher in Wellington, Virginia. We're all right. Get in touch with Hattie. So it was kind of a message system. You get one member of the family to know that everything's fine, and then their job was to tell everybody else everything was fine. What's interesting here, we ran out of paper. So what you have here is you got the Dean's Milk things, and the messages are on the back side. Again, most of these messages say, everything's fine. This went to the state police to immediately locate a family in Coleman, Alabama. Family lost mother, father, and child. Francis Jr., Jimmy killed. What is procedure from here? Please inform us. Reverend Ralph Sachs Mucker. One child being transferred to Indianapolis Hospital. Where do you want your family buried? And then they called back and said they got a couple more questions. Where to bury? Where the funeral? Who's to officiate? When should we come? How can we get all the information in a telegram?